Hello and welcome to the Kick in the Creatives podcast, hosted by myself, Sandra Busby, and my fellow creative Tara Roskell, offering you interviews, inspiration, motivation, and a gentle prod in the right direction. And for lots more information, challenges, and other useful tools to help you get creating, you can go to www.kickinthecreatives.com. And of course, this is where you can also find today's show notes. Enjoy the show. Welcome to today's episode. We're going to talk today about how to get back on track with your art after taking a break. And I might be a bit rusty today because we've taken a bit of a long break, which we'll talk about in a minute. But before we get on to any of that, we want to say a big thank you, first of all, to our latest Ko-fi supporters. Not only are you helping us towards the cost of running Kick in the Creatives, but you're also showing that you like what we do. So we're going to thank each of you personally at the end of the show. We also want to thank our sponsor, Evolve. Evolve can teach you to paint in a realism style to a professional level in a year or less, and for a fraction of the price of art school. Not only do they provide the lessons and the support online, but they also send you the materials you'll need. So you can watch a free webinar from Evolve by going to kickinthecreatives.com/Evolve webinar. Or to hear more about the Evolve program, you can go back and listen to episodes 67 and 73.
Yeah, and we also want to say a big thank you for the reviews you left us on Apple Podcast. So I've got one, it says, wonderful, 5 stars. Just discovered these lovely ladies and I'm a new fan and follower. Very inviting personalities and fun, interesting and informed conversations. It'll be fun to go through the episodes and catch up before 2023. And that's from M. Verney. And that was Apple Podcasts USA. And then I've got another one, which is just lovely. It's so fun to listen to these ladies banter back and forth. Between the laughs is some sincere inspiration and encouraging advice. So grateful for them sharing their experiences with others. And that's from Limont via Apple Podcasts USA.
Oh, I love those because every now and then I get a text from you and you just send me a review. And I love getting those. So thank you, yeah. Also, thanks to everyone who's been sharing their work for the challenges with us on social media. I've got a couple of people, no, 3 people actually I'd like to just mention. I mean, there's too many to pick out really, but Wendy Reed, I've really noticed Wendy Reed. I think she's a fairly new member to the group. Anyway, she's been doing Art Journal January and her pages have been just really colourful and full of text, and I've really enjoyed those. Have you seen hers at all, Tara?
I have, yes, I have.
Yeah, lovely, aren't they? Yep. Also, Mike Wheelings, another newish member, I think. He's been doing Art Journal January as well. Really popular challenge every year, that one. And he's been creating some really interesting pages using collage. And of course, when this goes out, it'll probably be sort of February, won't it? So obviously we're recording this. We're recording this towards the end of January, so that's why we're mentioning these ones. And Joe Brown.
There are loads of good challenges, aren't there, coming up in February? So don't think you've missed out.
Oh, no, exactly. Oh. Joe Brown. Now, Joe Brown is beginning to annoy me because...
She does, doesn't she?
She's just annoying
too bloody
now.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
I'm just getting seriously annoyed. What art do you think it is that she can't do? I don't get it. She can do everything.
I'm not sure.
She can do everything. She's just so versatile, and that's what I find so annoying. And now she's been doing Aqua January, and she's been doing like these most incredible watercolours. And if you kind of look at that against her, you know, some of her other stuff from the other challenges she does, it's like every challenge she does something completely different and unique, but is equally like as brilliant as the one before. So, Yeah, I really enjoy Jo. I really do, but I do find it annoying that I can't do what she does.
Yeah, she is brilliant. It's funny actually. I was going to mention her as well, but you got in there first because she does rise to a challenge, doesn't she?
She certainly does. She certainly does. What about you? Who's caught your eye then, other than Jo?
I've got a few. I've got Cheryl Sims, who I think is someone new to the group as well. Apologies if you're not. She did these lovely hippos, and I think they were for Aqua January. Did you see those? Very, very cute.
I did. The hippos I saw. Actually, I saw those yesterday. Yeah, they're lovely.
And then Jodie Croft, she'd done this really lovely mountain meadow with all these flowers in front. And again, I think that was for Aqua January as well. And then also, and I'm not going to be able to say this, Lauren Carnwath Nguyen. She'd done some really lovely Art Journal January pages. And I just like, she kind of was really loose in the way she laid pages out. And it was kind of loose and lively. And I always think that's a complete skill in itself, not just the actual drawings, but making the pages look nice with all the different elements come together. I'm not very good at that
it's like a compositional skill, isn't it?
Yeah, so good, so good.
Yeah, shame you probably murdered the surname.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because you never know how to pronounce this sort of
it's spelled. Her last name is Nnguyuen, and I've got no idea. So I do apologise for that. So anyway, what is new with you?
Well, obviously we have had a really, really, really long break, haven't we? Because we kind of recorded quite a few episodes so we could have December off, didn't we? So I took December off mainly because I had 3 weeks away on holiday. And then obviously we had Christmas. So I had quite a long break and I had to come back and get back onto my painting. So I was slightly concerned because when I went away, those paintings were at that horrible stage I talk about so often, the skanky teenage stage, that stage where they kind of look very flat and dull, and I just can't believe that they're going to be anything. And I was a little bit worried about leaving them at that stage because I didn't want to come back and be faced with them thinking, oh God, do you know what I mean? I don't even like these anymore. But actually, when I got back, when I looked at them, I just thought, right, I need to get past this stage. I've got to get past this stage, and I just got on with it. And actually, I'm really pleased because the progress has come on really quite quickly. I've got just one layer to go on one of my paintings and 2 layers to go on the other. So it's not like me to work on 2 paintings at the same time, but I have been, and that's been quite new to me actually, because I normally like to focus on just the one.
So you're going to do that again? You can do 2 again?
I think I am going to do 2 again.
Yeah.
So when I do a reveal, it will be kind of revealing one painting, and then hopefully not too far down the line after that, it will be revealing another one. So that'll be good. So that's that. What else is new? Not a lot else, obviously, because obviously I've been away. TikTok, I could say.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about TikTok. Obviously, we had a little chat off air, but blimey, you've blown up on TikTok.
Well, let's just say,
what is it? Go on then.
My TikTok, I was going to say my TikTok has picked up a little bit recently, albeit for the wrong reasons, which I won't perhaps go on here. Let's just say I put a couple of cheeky videos up, or would you say saucy is a better word? Do you think saucy, or just maybe shall I just go for plain vulgar?
Yeah, they're kind of rude, but rude in a light-hearted way.
Very light-hearted, silly way. So can I just say, before you say whatever it is you're going to say about my TikTok, Tara, if you are easily offended, please don't go to my TikTok account, because you might be a little bit horrified. But anyway, yes, my TikTok has definitely picked up quite a bit recently. What were you going to ask what my numbers are, Tara?
Well, all I was going to say is basically TikTok to me is like your Felicity Fizz side, isn't it?
Yes,
it's
my naughty side.
Yes, your alter ego. And I was going to say, tell everybody how many views you've had on one of your rather silly videos.
1.7 million.
Crazy.
which is so funny, because I'm sure on our last episode we were talking about TikTok, and I was like, I'm thinking about giving up on it, really. But what I decided I would do with my TikTok, I'm going to keep it separate to my Instagram, because I don't want to chase all of my Instagram. Well, I haven't got a great deal of Instagram followers, probably only about nearly 1,000 something, I'm not sure. But I don't really want to then suddenly start going in a completely different direction. And my TikTok, it's very much about my art, but let's just say, sharing my more naughty side and funny side and a bit more lifestyle in there as well. So it seems to have worked.
Yeah, you've done amazing.
Seems to be what people want.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah,
What's new with you?
Do you know what? I don't know. Well, I do know. So you remember I was working on the idea of that project where it was words that hurt. Basically, it was people who'd had criticism, and then I was using that to collage, but then partially covering it up. The idea being that I wanted to paint over those words, but even if you paint over them, they still slightly remain, because they can remain years after, can't they?
Yeah.
Those criticisms. Well, I had a bit of a thing where I had to stop doing it before Christmas, because you know when you built something up into this massive thing in your head, and then whenever you paint, you don't feel like you're getting, because you built it up to this ridiculous level, you don't feel like you're getting what was in your head.
Are you talking about
pressure?
You're talking about when you say built it up, you mean built it up in your head of what you were going to produce and it wasn't coming out that way? Or are you talking about building it up to other people and then you feel like you're not delivering? Is that what you mean?
No. I feel like I've built it up in my head to such a level that it's like, oh, this is the ultimate project, with this concept. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, whenever I painted, I think it's not that I didn't like what I painted. I did like some of what, some I didn't, but I did like some of, but none of it met this massive high level that I'd set myself. And it was ridiculous because it was killing my enjoyment of doing it.
Yeah.
And whereas I normally, when I paint, it's all about just go with the flow. But this was like, it was almost putting too much pressure on myself. So I stopped it for a bit. But then I had another idea over Christmas, which was to bring in some of my own inner criticism, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've done one painting like that. But the idea, I wanted to take it a step further. So I was partially covering it up, but then I'd write over the top of it a more positive statement.
Right.
Which I quite like, because I thought that put in a much more positive spin on the whole thing.
I agree with that, actually. That's a really good idea, because also perhaps if you keep tearing out these things saying, I don't know what they were, you're not good enough was one of them. Stuff like that. Maybe if you keep tearing things out and sticking them on a page, maybe it's actually
I'll believe
going in there.
maybe it's therapy.
Either that, or maybe that too much of that is actually going in your head now, and you're reading it, and it's going in with that. Subconsciously, you're taking that in, and you're feeling like you're not good enough.
I see.
So
it
perhaps,
could be, couldn't it?
You don't know how things like it's amazing how your brain works, and as you're saying it, I'm thinking, okay, well, if I was going to be doing a project where I was trying to rid myself of these thoughts in my head.
These weren't all mine initially, though.
Still, definitely. Yeah. I know that. But if you're continuously reading these negative things and sticking them on your painting, maybe they're going in. maybe it's So perhaps by actually writing over them with positive words, perhaps that's exactly what you need to kind of counteract that. Absolutely, yeah. But I saw one you did yesterday. Well, I don't know, you didn't do it yesterday, but I saw it on Instagram yesterday. Oh, I love it. It's I love all your work. I think it's amazing. But this one was really different, and it was I think you were experimenting with a Posca pen or something, a Posca marker.
Oh, yes.
And you did like a clock in one of his eyes. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, that's so Tara Roskell, but at the same time, it's so different as well. And it's so your style, but it's
Did you watch the video, though? Or did you just see the screenshot?
I know, I watched the video.
Because what's really funny is, I don't know if you know, basically I put you put a thumbnail on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I put a thumbnail at quite an early stage. And it's really funny because when you film everything you do, and I now pretty much film everything I do, you'll look back and you'll think, oh my God, I love it there. I love it after...
I see, yeah.
After
and then
10
you
minutes.
feel like you killed it.
I don't mind. I still quite like what it came out like at the end. But there's a point after I'd only just started it, and I think, oh, I love it. And it's how I put the thumbnail in. Yeah, it's quite weird that. But I've actually been trying to also, because that was one thing. I decided I was going to have what I'm calling Tara's Art Adventures, which is very corny. But because I was getting so bogged down by, I have to maintain this artistic style. And when I say artistic style, I mean the very look that I've been doing, with the ink and the loose. And I thought, yes, I do. And I love doing those, but I feel like I'm missing something. So I need to have that experimentation there. So that type of painting there is like, that's my complete do what the hell you like. It's still going to be faces, but it'll be trying out new materials, experimenting with things. And I've also been trying, unlike you, on TikTok, I haven't gone viral at all. But on Instagram, I'm trying to up my amount of social media. I'm trying to post twice a day. And I'm gradually seeing it increase, which is good, because I'm seeing my numbers go up. Yeah. But not like in a 6 point something million. But the interesting thing, I've now started, and I was going to talk to you about this at some point, I've now started to look at everything I make and think, how can I make more social media pieces from it? We've talked about that before.
Yeah, I wonder if we should do another episode on just social media. Now we're getting a little bit
carried away.
Now we're getting a bit more into it. I mean, I'm not saying, you see, the thing is with TikTok, I've been so busy on that. Well, say busy on that. I'm not posting anywhere near enough on it. And that's something I want to do this year, is I want to do more on social media for sure. And I want to have fun with it. I don't want to do just, oh gosh, I've got to do another studio tour or a sketchbook flip. I don't want to do just all. I want to do something fun, but I want to. And I'm neglecting I know I've neglected Instagram recently. I know I have. So maybe now we're more interested and have got a bit more knowledge behind us on how to improve numbers. We should do an episode.
Or what maybe we should do is set ourselves a little thing where over the next month or two, we not analyse, but you know what I mean? We almost set ourselves a challenge to see how we're going on and see what affects things. We take more notice.
Yes. Yeah,
and
definitely.
Then we talk about it.
And then once we've got a bit more, maybe in a month or so we'll have another, okay.
Because I'm curious if the posting more makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the timing as well, I think, isn't it? As to what.
That is an interesting thing, actually. I will tell you, which is I posted, because I'm now posting everywhere. I'm literally posting my videos everywhere, and I posted, and it's amazing how on one platform, say on Instagram, I can post something and I can get 10,500 views on a reel, and then I can post that on YouTube Shorts, and I could get like 100 views. But also, I posted something on YouTube as a short, just a little vertical video, and it completely flopped. It literally, and I thought, that's a good video. It's a nice piece of art, that is. So I thought, I'm not very happy with that. So I basically took it off, and instead of being 30 seconds, I speeded it up slightly to make it like 20. So YouTube couldn't see it as the same video. And then I reposted it, and the next time it got 4,000 views. Exactly the same.
And it's bonkers, isn't it? So it just goes to show it's not always about what you're posting. No. It's about the timing.
Everything. Yeah.
Anyway,
shall we get on to our subject?
Because we've probably been talking about 3 hours already. In fact, we probably talked about an hour before we started, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about how to get back on track with your art after taking a break. And the reason we thought we'd do this one at this time is because obviously, as I said before, Tara and I we both took December off, didn't we? Took a long break over Christmas. We're now sort of late into January, and quite honestly, it has taken me certainly a while to get back into the swing of things. I do think, and it's not fair, but I do think habits are a lot easier to get out of than they are to form, aren't they? So
definitely, yeah.
It's such a shame it works that way round. But ideally, whilst a break can definitely do us good, it's important not to step away for too long. I stepped away, obviously, I think by the time I'd gone on holiday, and then we had Christmas, and then I had jet lag to catch up with. I think I probably didn't pick up a pencil for at least five weeks, I'm sure. And it's really silly because I always have this fantasy when I go away on holiday. I think, I'm going to sketch on holiday, and I'll sit on my sunbed and draw the people around the pool, which I know I'd find quite an easy kind of pastime. And I love that kind of sketching. But the problem is, when it's 32 degrees plus and it's really, really humid, it's just not ideal for sketching. And I live in the UK. I am in the hottest part of the UK. I know that much. But still, to have such intense humidity and heat and for such a long time, even gripping the pencil, it just makes my hand sweaty and disgusting. So I'm like, I just rarely find myself doing it, because you open the page, your hand is sticking to the page, your pencil's slipping from your fingers, and it's so bright, even with sunglasses on, everything's glaring. And so
you don't feel like in that heat anyway. You wouldn't feel like drawing in that heat anyway, would you?
No, exactly. Even under a palm tree in the shade, unless you're used to that, I just find it doesn't seem to work for me. Maybe it would if I was in Italy or something that was somewhere not quite as intense heat, do you know what I mean? But somewhere like Thailand, which is where I went, it's very intense. So, after all that time away, I was actually chomping at the bit to get back to my art studio, which is good, because I'd be worried if I'd come back and I thought, I'm out of the habit now, I don't want to go back in my art studio. That didn't happen at all. I wanted to get back to those unfinished paintings, which I did actually. The very, very first day I had an opportunity, when we'd finished kind of entertaining people after Christmas, that kind of thing. That was fine. I got straight back onto that. But it's the other stuff I found really hard to get back into, like drawing, sketching, drawing. That is the thing I find my habit just falls apart really, really quickly if I take too long a break. And it's so frustrating, because that's the thing I really enjoy. I think I enjoy that the most, and yet I find that very, very easy a habit to get out of.
Yeah, I must admit, I haven't just drawn something you see for ages.
No.
I really haven't. No. But I was going to actually say, I watched this brilliant thing on habits. There's a guy called, I don't know if you've heard of him, Stephen Bartlett. He's actually one of the dragons in the UK for Dragon's Den, which I don't watch anymore.
I don't watch that.
He's got a brilliant podcast, which is on YouTube and also on all the podcast stations. Right. And usually he interviews someone well known, with really interesting stories. But he did one where he'd done load of research on habits, and the whole episode is all about making good habits and stuff. And so if you do want to learn about that was really good. I mean, it's all that thing about, you've heard about habit stacking and stuff like that, haven't you? Where you link things and
no.
Well, there was different things he talked about. There was things like replacing bad habits with good habits.
Yeah.
So say you were a smoker, and instead of, he said his dad replaced having a cigarette in the car with having tiny mini lollipops. Although a mini lollipop might not be great, it's better than having the cigarette. So he'd have one of those instead. But then habit stacking is kind of, I think you put, and I've probably got this, someone's going to tell me I've got this completely wrong, but you link things to things. Yeah. So you might say, you always have a cup of tea in the morning. So every time you have a cup of tea, you're going to have your sketch pad out and you're going to do a 5-minute sketch, because it's something you already do. So you link it to that thing. It might be like every time you have a glass of wine, you do you know what I mean? You link something to something that you already do at a certain time. And that might not be habit stacking, but it's something to do with habits.
Would it be a pain to find that and link it in the show notes, maybe, that episode?
What, Stephen Bartlett?
Yeah. That particular episode you're talking about, if you can find it. I
Can you
definitely like to
remind
listen
me?
to that. Yeah, I will.
When we
When we
come off, yeah.
remind me to remind you.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'll remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, some other ideas. So why not try flicking through an art book? Because I do love doing this. I don't do this half enough. And I really like to bookmark things. So I'll have all these little pink bookmarks hanging, Post-its hanging out of all these art books.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Sometimes I have a little note written on them, or sometimes I'll go back to them and think, what on earth was it I liked about that? Because it might be like, oh, I just like that grungy line. I just like that pink. Or I like that idea that they've worked over something. So it will give me little ideas I might want to try. But then you can also try watching some art videos for inspiration. But the thing with this, I don't know about you, is you can easily get dragged down that rabbit hole. So I can start watching an art video, and then I'll watch another art video, and then I might end up watching one on social media, how to improve my social media. And it turns out you end up not actually creating anything, but watching a lot of videos. So I think do it, but maybe set yourself a limit. I've got 20 minutes to watch art videos, and then I'm going to make something. So I think just make sure you build in the time for the creating the thing as well.
Yeah, and talking about creating the time, I mean, make a schedule, and put specific times aside if you can, just to do whatever your thing is. I mean, I've talked about it before, where I used to get up an hour early, used to go into the art studio and do my drawing for an hour. That's the habit I find really, I love doing, and then that's the one I come out of really quickly if I don't. As soon as I stop doing it for whatever reason, I go away, or I don't know, have a really busy week or something, and I stop, then before I know it, and I did it for a whole year, I did that for an entire year.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
And then I just went away on holiday and didn't do it again for ages. And then I started it again, but then a few weeks into it, I somehow had a really busy week and I couldn't do it. And then I found myself not doing it for another 3 months. And I'll tell you what, you kind of get rusty quite quick, don't you, when you stop something? And the thing is, when you've had time away, it's really hard to just kind of leap back in feet first and pick up exactly where you left off. I think that's the problem. So maybe be realistic. Set aside the time that you know is doable at the point you're setting yourself this challenge, let's say, or schedule. So that way you're not setting yourself up for immediate failure if you know it's doable. And also, the other thing I thought of is being held accountable. That's really, really helpful. So what you could do is say, for instance, I could go online now and I could say, right, I am going to get back to drawing every day in my art studio for 1 hour every morning before I do anything else. For some reason, if I put that out there on Facebook or in a Facebook group or something like that, I would imagine in my head that everyone is going to be waiting and judging me and thinking, has she done that? Has she done that? She said yesterday she was going to do, I wonder if she did. It's how we think, isn't it? But actually, the reality is nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a monkey's what I'm doing. Everyone's too interested in what they're doing themselves to even think about anything I'm doing. So it's, sad as that is, nobody cares. But it's a kind of thing that makes you think that because you've said it, you have to do it. Another thing you could do is you could actually just, instead of doing it online, you could just say, for instance, you had a friend. Say Tara, for instance, you weren't into drawing, but you were into exercise, right, or running or something.
Yeah.
And
am I going to be running while you're doing that? While you're drawing?
No, but what you see, say we were just, I don't know, neighbours or something that were kind of pally, and you were a runner and I was an artist or a sketcher or something, and I got out of my habit, and say we had a conversation, and you're like, oh God, I've got to get back into my running, and I could say to you, well, I'll tell you what, I need to get back into my drawing. How about we check in with each other? We make an agreement that you're going to run every day for however long, and I'm going to draw every day for however long. And then we check in at the end of each week and we say how many days we've done it for. So it wouldn't have
Doesn't
to be,
have to be the same thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point of it. So, because otherwise it'd be quite hard to find someone, wouldn't it, in your real life that wants to do the same thing. I mean, online probably, yeah, but if it's somebody you want to sort of engage with face to face, then you could find somebody who wants to do something else. It might be dieting or something. I don't know, anything. But the fact that you are then accountable to someone else, it means you're far more likely to stick to it, because you don't want them to say to you, yes, I did my running this morning, did you? Only for you to have to say, oh, no, I didn't. Because then you'd feel like they'd done well and you'd failed. So, yeah, that's one way of doing it as well, is to kind of like get in with someone else and compare
Yeah,
notes,
that's the sort of thing I used to do with Lisa, isn't it?
Yeah,
my friend, we both used to want to do a certain thing. It wouldn't be the same thing, and then we'd hold each other accountable at the end of the week.
And then you feel really bad, though, don't you? If you don't do it and they have, it makes you feel like, oh no, I really need to do better next time.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. But you could also do sketching on, like, so say, for example, you felt like you got out of the sketching habit, and I did as well, but obviously we're not near each other. You could just, okay, we're going to meet every Wednesday at 8 o'clock online. We're going to turn the camera on and we're going to chat and sketch.
Yeah,
and there
is
I'm in a membership group at the moment, and I've never been to it, but they do a power hour, she calls it. What are you laughing at?
I'm in a membership group. I've never been to it, but...
No, I've never been to this part of it. To this part that she does a power, because a lot of them are Americans. So for me, it'd be like the power hour. It's 9 o'clock. I'm not feeling much power at 9 o'clock. I'm feeling very snoozy by 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So
it's quite often
they all get to.
You send me a text every now and then, and it's like at 9 o'clock in the evening, and you'll say, I know you probably won't get this because you're probably in bed already.
In bed, exactly. Yeah, but this power hour, I think what they do is, so if you say you want to do sketching, and make sure you do some sketching or drawing, whatever, you bring your drawing. They're all on Zoom or whatever, or if you want to do some admin, you'd all do that thing at that point in time. But obviously, you could do it a lot smaller, like say me and you could sketch at the same time.
I like that idea, power hour. That's great.
Yeah,
I really like that. Yeah.
You could also set yourself tiny goals, and that could just be like 5 minutes a day, your sketchbook. And doing a small goal definitely means you're more likely to stick with it. It's like that thing, isn't it? If you say, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes, you're far more likely to do that than if you could say, I'm going to walk 5K every day. One of the hardest things is starting. But once you start, you tend to find that you'll do a lot more. Well, I do anyway. I find starting things really hard. You could also commit to a challenge. So try finding something that maybe you've always wanted to try. If you're feeling a bit low, try something new that you've always fancied and never done. Maybe do a challenge alongside other people. So you could find a sort of ready-done challenge, like we've got loads, haven't we? There's loads online, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Or if you can't find anything that's right for you, make up your own. I've done that plenty of times. And like you said, stating online what you're doing really helps make you more accountable.
It definitely does. Yeah. And start with something easy as well. I mean, you'll talk about a challenge. I mean, I definitely wouldn't jump in with the Kick 365 challenge, which is drawing every day for 365 days. I wouldn't commit to anything that is big to start with, not when you're just trying to get back into it. So, for instance, say as an example, I said earlier, didn't I, that I draw every day for an hour before work.
Yeah.
It would be pointless after me taking a 6-week break to think, right, I'm going to do that straight away and I'm going to do it. That's what I'm going to do. Because I don't think I would be able to start just like that. I think I'd need to say, right, I'm going to do that 3 days a week. Doesn't matter which 3 days, but I'm going to do it 3 days a week. And I'm just going to do half an hour.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you're doing a challenge as well, start with something like, I don't know, maybe a blind contour drawing challenge or a left-handed drawing challenge, because that way you're not, you're kind of setting yourself up to draw something that's not going to be great anyway, because it can't really be good. So you're not going to be disappointed. So that's a good tip. I mean, they say, don't they, you use it or lose it. So you're going to feel rusty to begin with if you've taken a break for anything more than a few weeks. So, yeah, just start with these simple kind of exercises, nothing too taxing. You're going to need to just brush up on the basics for a good week or so to get you and your juices flowing again, I think. And this is one of your tips, really, Tara, isn't it? Which is to use a cheap sketchbook. If you do that, then you're less likely to feel precious about your drawing. And I think that is a really good tip, because I used to sort of want to draw in the most lovely sketchbook with beautiful covers, and I don't do that anymore, funny enough, because
Really?
I have got those sketchbooks, and when I feel comfortable enough to start them, I will. But to be honest, I think you're absolutely right. In fact, here's a really good tip. If you can get hold of basically, right, this is my tip of the year. I'm sure this is my tip of the year. I have got, which I pulled out of a skip. It's actually our skip. Paul. It was Paul's surplus stuff from work, but he put a whole roll of unused wallpaper in the skip, and I basically nabbed it before they came to collect the skip. So what I did is I put it under my desk. And what happens is every day that I sketch, I just pull this roll of wallpaper out a bit more, and I just scribble on it. So, and then I just roll it back up again. So it means it's kind of like an endless piece of paper. I know, because it's on wallpaper, I can't use it in any way. I'm not going to feel precious about that drawing because it's terrible paper. I will just go in it with a Sharpie pen and I will just scribble on it. And it's a really good way of having a ton of paper. It was free for me because I didn't buy it. And actually, you might be able to go somewhere like Brewers or somewhere like that where they do kind of wallpapers and say, have you got any offcuts? Because they quite often use them, don't they, to make their displays. They might have
lining paper is really cheap. If you go and get
that's a good
paper,
idea.
I've got a roll of that somewhere. That's dirt cheap.
And you just keep ripping bits off, and that way you've got this endless bit of cheap paper, and it's literally for nothing other than to fail on. Let's not use the word fail. Let's talk about learning. They learn on.
Practice,
practice on. So you're not trying to do something that's going to be any good. You're just moving your pen around, So that's my tip of the year, I think. Yeah.
Well, I definitely think you're right about the getting rid of expectations, especially when you're just starting up again. So I'd totally go along with that one about them doing the non-dominant hand drawings. Plus, they look amazing, don't they?
Oh, they do. I love them. Yeah.
But also, remember to give yourself permission to play. So don't feel like I was getting. Don't feel like you've got to do exactly the same thing all the time. Set aside time where you allow yourself just to do anything you feel like. You feel like sticking some coloured paper in a sketchbook and drawing on top, do it. You feel like making some origami, do that. Don't just feel like you almost hone yourself in. There's no reason you have to, unless you're selling your work for thousands of pounds or something and people are expecting that. You're allowed to play with things, and I definitely feel at the moment I'm starting to inject some more of that play into my work anyway.
And it comes across in the art as well, I think, when somebody's had fun doing it.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I also think that play, even if you've got your set style, but if you do some play, that play can eventually make its way, some of it, into the real work.
Yeah, exactly. So once you find yourself maybe getting slowly back into that habit, say, for instance, I was saying earlier about doing just half an hour every day, every other day or something, maybe I'd up that to 4 days a week and then 5 days a week, and then maybe I'd increase the time to 40 minutes and so on. So, but if you started with 5 minutes a day, just go up to 15 minutes a day. Don't do anything too, don't take such a sharp jump. You don't need to do that. Just gradually build, and then a couple of weeks later, build it up again. And then what you do is you continue doing that until you're doing what you did before you took a break. And I think that's a good way of just breaking yourself in gently. Another good tip actually is to actually prepare what you're going to do the night before. I think that you've said this as well before, haven't you, Tara, that sometimes you kind of prepare the night before what you're going to do. You don't just sort of get up
I
and
might
think,
find a face or something. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, even if it's just finding your reference. But the problem with getting up in the morning and sitting down to work with nothing in mind before you start is that you can spend a good chunk of that time just trying to figure out what you're going to draw. Before you know it, half the time's gone. So, yeah, that's a really good idea. And actually, just have a think about what you're going to do and say, right, tomorrow I'm going to draw a face and I'm going to find my reference now and I'm going to draw with pastels or something. So you've got a firm idea and then you go there and you've got your reference and you can just get stuck right in. I used to, I have still got it. I don't really use it so much anymore, but I used to have an inspiration folder on my iPad that was just to give me ideas if I wanted to draw and I'd run out of ideas kind of thing. You could have a Pinterest board. I'm finding more and more now.
Was that words? Was yours words?
No, it wasn't words. It was just colours, pictures, anything really.
Right.
Patterns, whatever. Why did you say words? Oh, you mean like prompts?
Yeah, I wasn't sure because you used to have that notice board up, didn't you? Where you just had prompts of things you wanted to draw, and I wasn't sure if you meant...
Oh, yeah. It's quite funny. I was going to say, actually, I used to have digital inspiration folders, but more and more now I'm finding that I need something more visual to hand. So something in front of me, if you know what I mean. So I've got my whiteboard, and I'll put things up there that give me ideas of paintings. That's more of what I'm going to paint. So at the moment I've got the words large bottles because I want to do a large painting of wine bottles. A large bottom, large wine bottle. So you know my wine bottle paintings I was doing. I'd quite like to do a really, really big one of that, but I don't know. That's just in my mind. Whether I do it or not, I don't know. But it's written on my board. I've got other things written on there. But yeah, I kind of like now to sort of looky, feely, rather than just switch my computer on and find a folder. And I don't know. I'm not enjoying the digital side of things anymore so much. I like to see and touch. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, the other thing I was going to say is make it fun. So, like you said, have a bit of playtime. You're far more likely to show up and stay for longer than you planned if you're treating it a bit like playtime. If you're treating it like, I need to do this because I'm not going to get better if I don't. I need to practice today mark making or whatever it is. It's going to be boring. You're going to find yourself getting really bored. If you go in with the mindset of, oh my gosh, I'm going to experiment with this today and let's see what happens. Or, I wonder if I can create something with just 2 colours and I don't know, or collage. I'm going to go over collage today. Just make it a bit of fun, something that's going to pique your interest a bit. Might not work, but at least you've had fun doing it.
Yeah, I think one of the ways as well to make sure it's not going to take you too long to do all your art is to use a small sketchbook or do something like, do you remember we've got that challenge, Miniature March?
Yeah,
where you can't remember how big it... Is it Miniature May? Yeah, sorry. Miniature May. Well, basically, you could. I can't remember. It's 4 inches or something. Or you're going to tell me?
Yeah, about post-it. Anything post-it note size or below, really.
Yeah, and so if you're going to draw something that size, there's no room, is there, for detail? So that's going to be something you can do really quickly. You're going to squeeze it in a break time, squeeze it in before your breakfast. So I definitely think about going small with your sketchbook or using just a little square within it.
Which is polar opposite to my wallpaper where I'm like using my whole arm.
But you could just put little squares on your wallpaper, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And then I've mentioned it before, but if there's a new art material you've always fancied trying, go for it because that's fun again. It's like you're saying, make it fun. And it can also lead you in different directions. Like I've said before, I never would have thought that I'd be working in charcoal until I found another way to use it, a different way. Another way to get your creative juices going is to take a course. And this can really get you thinking different ways about your work. And of course, just in case you fancy creating some cartoons, we have got a cartoon course, haven't we, Sandra?
Oh, yeah, we have.
Surprise. Mm-hmm. So you can check that out at kickingthecreatives.com/ cartoon course. But there's loads of things. Even if you didn't fancy doing a course that's kind of... Because if you're doing a course on your own, it can be a little bit... I don't know. I don't mind doing it, but I know some people like the social element. But even if there's not anything near you, you could always go on one of these Zoom classes. I've booked in for another one, actually, with a woman called Steph Coley. She does these collage and mixed media courses. And it's more of a social, really.
Yeah.
You just go on and there'll be 10 people and you'll just try doing some collage or whatever. And I'm actually doing one architecture.
No.
Yeah, mixed media. She's got different themes. I thought, well, there's no point me doing faces, is there? Because
No,
I always draw
so.
faces. And she's got flowers. I do not like drawing flowers.
No.
So I thought I'll try it and see what happens. I might be able to bring that into my faces somehow.
Well, architecture. Yeah, architecture. I can't even say the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I was going to ask you,
Who
you
knows?
talked about experimenting. And I was
Yes.
talking about your video you put on Instagram, or I saw on Instagram yesterday with and it says
Oh, yeah.
experimenting with Posca markers.
Yeah.
So when you did that, was that the first time you'd ever used it literally on that, or had you tried it before?
Well, I actually did two. So I did that on another one in the same day. So they were the first time I'd used it.
Right.
So that was the second, but literally one after the other.
Yeah.
And I thought, which one shall I put up? I thought, I'll put that one up. I've recorded the other one as well.
Yeah.
So if you count doing it in the same session, the first time I used it, yes, it was.
So
I got
another
it for
thing
Christmas,
to do.
actually.
What, the course?
No, the Posca
Oh, the
marker.
Posca. Sorry, the Posca marker. Was it
Yeah.
in your stocking? Oh.
It was in my wish list.
Oh. No, I should do that more, really. I should experiment more with other things because I work in oils and
should.
I sketch in pen, but I never seem to do... there's nothing in between. I kind of do one thing or the other. Maybe I should do a bit more like that. One thing we didn't do last year, we didn't go out sketching last year because we were just both...
It was you.
I was so
Wasn't
busy.
me.
I was so busy and I had to go up to London for a few things anyway. And so then the thought of having to go back, even if it was for something fun, it was like, oh my God, I've got, I just didn't have any time. But what I was leading into was reward yourself. So for example, it might be that a reward is to go out on a sketching trip with your buddy. Do you know what I mean? Oh, that could be a reward for me. Oh, I've finally done this. I'm going to treat myself to a trip out with Tara and go and have a sketchy day or something. But if you decide perhaps you're going to take part in a month-long challenge, you're more likely to stick to it if you've promised yourself that reward at the end of it. It might be an art book you've always wanted. It might be
chocolate.
It could be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be something expensive. It could just be a donut or something. It could be anything. It could be I don't know. But maybe
New
even
pair of
like you
knickers.
said,
I could do some of them. Mine have got holes in.
what, your knickers?
Not in the rude bit. Yeah, not in the rude bit at the side.
Yeah, I could do with some new knickers actually. The elastic's gone on some of mine. Paul saw some parachute pants.
Really?
Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, maybe new knickers, or what you were talking about a minute ago.
We'll put them on our wish list. A coffee, if you can't.
New knickers,
Instead of a coffee, buy some new knickers. Sorry, I'm shutting up now.
You could decide, actually, I want to do a course online, but I'm not investing in that course until I know I'm going to stick to it. So if I can stick to this 1 month challenge, then I'm going to treat myself and do that course because then I know I can stick to it. So anything like that. But generally speaking, if you're going to get a present, whether it's from yourself or someone else at the end of something, you're going to want to do it more, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I know Paul would be delighted if I got new knickers.
Would he?
Especially if he chose them, but I dread to think
no.
what I'd get. So
I've got plenty of nice knickers. They're not very comfortable, though, are they? You want your normal knickers. You don't want your fancy knickers that you never wear.
Exactly. I just
Anyway.
keep them there, remembering the old days.
Yeah. So So I've forgotten what we're talking about now. Oh, I was just going to say, you know how you were saying how you promise yourself a course once you do something. I promised myself sounds very boring, a handheld tripod. I promised myself a handheld tripod, and I can't remember what I was going to make myself do. I was like, no, you have to have done so many videos or filmed yourself. And then I crumbled and I got one anyway. How bad is that?
Have you used it?
Yes.
And?
I have, and I filmed myself.
Oh, okay. Because we both got a gimbal, didn't we? Do you remember?
Yeah, yes. And that works. I have used that as well with my phone.
I cannot get that thing to work properly for me at all.
Really? Yeah.
I think I just, like you always say, you're a geek, aren't you? And I just like to just go in feet first, just have a go. That's my problem, because I hate reading instructions. I can't be bothered, and they really bore me. So what happens is then I start trying to just do it without really looking into it properly and wonder why I can't do it. So.
Oh, okay. I've only used it once, twice, not much. But yes. Anyway, so now normally we would read out the answers to our last question, but Sandra actually put in the notes, but we forgot to post it. What she meant was I forgot to post it on social media.
I didn't want to be too mean and just say, Tara, you forgot to post it. But yeah, Tara, you forgot to post it.
I did. So I don't even remember it. It's that long ago. So we're going to ask it again now, and I really hope you haven't already answered this one, because we're going to ask it again. So if you could go on a painting holiday or a sketching holiday, where would you go and why?
Yeah.
And I haven't thought of an answer. Have you?
No, I haven't, because we only sort of said yesterday, oh no, because I texted you, didn't I? I said, oh, have you forgot the answers
I don't remember this question.
Like,
I don't remember this question.
No.
No.
I'm sure we did.
Who knows?
Read it out. Anyway, I don't know. But yes, what we'll do is next time on our next podcast, what we'd normally do is read out the best answers. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that. And how you can let us know is on Instagram, because we'll put the question up there, if I remember. We'll also put it up. Oh, that's Kicking the Creatives, by the way, on Instagram. Or we'll let you know in the Facebook group, which if you haven't joined, I highly suggest you do. We'll also put it on Twitter and anywhere else we can think of.
Maybe TikTok.
Perhaps we should. We have got a TikTok, really old, maybe. No, with you going viral, you should probably put that up.
Anyway, I really hope that gave you the kick in the creatives you needed. You can pop over to our website, if you like, at kickinthecreatives.com, and that's where you can find out how to take part in some of our upcoming creative challenges for the months ahead. And of course, you can also subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we would be really, 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 really grateful if you'd leave us a little review on iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on, because that really, really does help, doesn't it, Tara? It helps.
It does, yeah.
Helps things get out there.
Even just tell a mate, or if you could share something, you share something for us on Instagram into your story. Anything really helps. Don't forget also to check out and subscribe to our Kicking the Creatives newsletter, and that will help you keep up to date with all the challenges we've got going on. There's 3 every month, and also we'll let you know about all the podcast episodes in case you've missed one. And just a quick reminder, you can find a link to our course on creating cartoons on kickingthecreatives.com/cartoon course.
Yeah, and I suppose really, if you do want to check out Tara or I on social media, our personal accounts. Tara, your Instagram is?
My Instagram is Tara Roskell Art.
I can't remember what mine is.
Actually, my website is tararoscallart.com, and yours is sandra.busby.
Oh right, yeah, I'm the same on TikTok, and TikTok. I'm the same on there. Yeah.
And your website is?
sandrabusbyart.com.
Okay. Right.
Anyway.
Okay.
If you like what we do and you want to help support us here at Kicking the Creatives, you can now support us by buying us a coffee or some new knickers. You can find the link on our
need some new knickers.
You can find the link on our website, which is called Ko-fi. Our latest supporters, we want to say a big, big thank you to, and they are Catherine Stepney. She says, thank you for getting me out of January inertia and determined to start drawing again. Melissa, thanks for what you do. I love your style and your content. Joanna Brown, She's been a supporter of ours on Ko-fi for as long as I can remember. Thank you so, so much, Joanna. And Tori Chatfield, thank you for all of the inspiration. Also, when we got last night, actually, Alison Cochrane, thank you, as always, for entertaining me and encouraging my art. Honestly, all of you, we cannot thank you enough, especially at the moment. We know what it's like out there, you know, giving up your own money to help us here, but it does cost us, and that kind of thing really does help. So
helps pay for everything, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Thank you ever so much.
So, yes, we will
wrap it up.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to share it and leave a review for us on iTunes. Back soon.
Yeah.
Right, are we ready
so
then?
You, okay,
3, 2, 1, ready?
2, 1, 3.
Oh, go on, you count.
Okay.
You count.
3, 2, 1.